Racers, start your engines. Yeah, those were the words that started the whole mess, and I swear the sound of Miranda Blackwell waving that checkered flag in the middle of my 60-year-old wheat field still haunts me. You ever have a day where it feels like the whole world is spinning off its axis just to mess with you personally? That's how it felt watching 20 Mustangs and Camaros roar to life, tires spinning like they were trying to dig straight to China engines screaming loud enough to make the birds flee 3 counties over. My family's wheat, that golden ocean my granddad started planting back in '62, was snapping under their wheels like toothpicks, clouds of dirt so thick you'd think the sun got swallowed. I tore up in my old pickup, gravel flying heart pounding so hard it felt like a second engine. Blake Carter, that's me, the fool who thought a handshake and a good harvest was all it took to live in peace out here. I crested the hill, and there she was, Miranda, our newly minted HOA president, standing on top of her white Range Rover like some twisted beauty queen. She was waving her flag with this maniac grin, hair done up, nails perfect, the whole scene looking less like a community event and more like the opening of the suburban apocalypse. She saw me coming, all 6 feet of me, barreling across the field, and she just smiled wider, waved like we were at some PTA bake sale instead of watching 3 generations of Carter's sweat and blood get churned into mud pies. "Blake, honey," she called out, "sweet as antifreeze, this is a fundraising event for the local school. Wouldn't want to take the scholarships away from the children, would you?" She fished out this official-looking document from a purse that probably cost more than my yearly fertilizer bill, waving it like a magic wand. "It's all legal. The mayor signed off just this morning." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. 40% of my crop destroyed. And she's reading me legalese in the voice of a Disney villain. When I demanded she shut it down, she looked me dead in the eye and said, "You owe the HOA $18,000 in landscaping and pest harboring fees. This event is just an alternative payment method. Let that sink in." She was using made-up fines to justify running a drag race through my field. That's when I knew this was bigger than a one-off scheme. Something deeper and dirtier was brewing. I started recording everything, posting the carnage to Facebook. Miranda spotted my phone and instantly went from fake nice to ice-cold threatening to slap me with another $50,000 in defamation charges for damaging the HOA's reputation. The racers packed up, mud-splattered, my crop was trashed, and Miranda leaned in with that predator smile and hissed, "Lesson number 1, Blake. Be more cooperative next time." I barely slept that night, just me, stacks of HOA documents and coffee that tasted like defeat. My daughter, Sophia, God bless her teenage hacker heart, helped me dig. We found that Miranda had changed 23 bylaws since taking office, each one making her more powerful and less accountable, targeting families with new violations and hitting them with fines until they broke. Turns out we weren't her first victims. Helen Martinez, a widow forced to sell her house for pennies after Miranda retroactively fined her for the color of her roses, gave us the key. Helen lost everything to Sunrise Development LLC, a company with an office that looked like a front, just one lonely desk, and a secretary who barely remembered her own name. The paper trail Sophia uncovered, payments, property transfers, city approvals read like a mob novel. That charity drag race, not a dime went to the schools. Miranda pocketed the entry fees, all while painting herself as some community hero. That's when the hammer dropped. Miranda's lawyer served me with a $200,000, $1,000 defamation suit demanding a property lien and freezing my accounts. The legal fees alone would have bankrupted me. I'll never forget Sophia finding me in the kitchen, head in my hands, asking if I was going to let Miranda destroy Grandpa's legacy. I wanted to fight, but the law was a weapon in Miranda's hands and I was already bleeding money. Dad, Sophia whispered, "Let me help. I'll expose her." I told her to stay legal, but you know how kids are. Next thing I know, she's inside Mayor Davidson's email. Yeah, probably illegal, but what she found made my skin crawl. Davidson and Miranda were partners, sharing 10% on every forced sale, and even had connections in DC to apply more pressure. So we took the fight public justice for Carter Farm on Facebook, TikTok, you name it. Our first video laying out how 5 families lost their homes blew up overnight. Other victims came forward, their stories matching ours. Almost word for word, fines, intimidation, forced sales to the same shell company, Sunrise Development. The more we posted, the more Miranda pushed back. She hired a PR firm, held fake coffee mornings for the press, even staged events with happy families and cookies trying to rewrite history. She called me an extremist, said I was dangerous to the neighborhood. Pretty rich coming from someone who weaponized bylaws like hand grenades. Then Sophia found the bombshell Heartland Properties Group. The company behind Sunrise was owned 30% by Miranda, 25% by Mayor Davidson, and the rest by an anonymous defense contractor. Our farm, it turned out, wasn't just in the way of a housing development. They needed our land for a riverfront resort and casino project worth $50 million. Dad's old tax records revealed something stranger, a federal contract for a special kind of weed I'd never heard of signed just before he died. I didn't know it then, but that detail would blow this whole thing wide open. When Miranda pushed for an emergency HOA vote to cut my utilities, claiming my resistance was a safety threat, the community finally snapped. People showed up with supplies and support, turning my farm into a resistance HQ. Local news picked up the story. Still, the pressure built until one morning at 6 a.m., the FBI showed up with a federal warrant, grain contamination, national security violations, you name it. My farm swarmed with agents in tactical gear, Sophia crying, the whole circus aired live by helicopters overhead. I spent 2 nights in federal detention, reputation shredded, labeled a traitor by strangers online. The evidence, grain samples with pesticide contamination, anonymous tips, was airtight, but the dates didn't add up. Someone had planted that evidence during utility cutoffs when I wasn't even on the property. Helen remembered Miranda asking about federal contracts months before the HOA war started, and that's when I realized this was a setup from day one. After I made bail, Colonel James Morrison from the Pentagon was waiting for me. Turns out Carter Farm grew a special wheat rich in protein and essential amino acids used exclusively by the military for combat rations. My dad had signed a 15-year contract worth over $60 million. Miranda, tipped off by her defense contractor backer, was trying to force me to sell at farm prices, flip the land to the Pentagon at strategic rates, and pocket the difference. She'd orchestrated the whole campaign, bylaws, fines, lawsuits, even the anonymous tip to the FBI. This was local corruption married to federal ambition, and my family was collateral damage. That's when I decided enough was enough. We went public, live-streamed every detail, emails, recordings, the whole timeline. Helen and other victims joined me, sharing their stories. Our final stream hit 100,000 viewers, with the comments section blowing up, reporters watching, even the mayor himself calling in desperate to distance himself from the wreckage. Miranda lost control, caught on my security cameras, driving onto my property at midnight with a gas can ready to torch the evidence. FBI agents tipped off by Colonel Morrison were waiting. She was arrested live, the final act of her crumbling empire broadcast to 500,000 people. Miranda went down for conspiracy, fraud, attempted arson, and violating national security laws, 8 years in federal prison. The defense contractor lost his Pentagon deals. Mayor Davidson resigned in disgrace, and Heartland Properties folded. My family signed a new contract with the Pentagon, transforming our farm into a protected national asset, and Sophia got a full ride to MIT for cybersecurity. Funny how fighting dirty makes you learn new skills. Now I run Pentagon Heritage Farm Tours, and Miranda's apology letter hangs in a frame at the entrance. This is what happens when you mess with American farmers. People drive in from all over to see where a little family took on a rigged system and won. But listen, this story's not over. Corruption like this isn't just some small-town drama, it's a national disease, and it's time folks started fighting back. So let me ask you, whose side are you on? Drop a comment, tell your story, and let's keep the war for justice rolling, one battlefield at a time.